Good morning. Well, it might be afternoon where you are. It's the 29th of December in Australia, and I'm really thoughtful about the future at the moment. And so I thought I would take this opportunity to share some of those thoughts with you. So thank you for watching or watching the recording. This won't be terribly long. It's just to give you some purpose with any reflection that you might be doing. We're kind of in this interesting space between the beginning of the holidays, the Christmas events, and getting together with family and friends and all of that kind of social buzz that happens. The big stuff's been done, and New Year isn't quite here yet. And so we've got a little bit of space. And what I find is this is the time that people begin to have space to just reflect, to think about what's been, what's coming, what might the new year hold, what's going well, where they might need to change things up. As we know, lots of people do New Year's Eve or New Year resolutions. Sorry, I haven't been on live for a little while, and so my tongue apparently isn't supporting me. This is the time when people really start to think about the bigger picture, about what's important. And for leaders in particular, it's not just about you, of course, it's much broader than that. And so what I wanted to do is to help you, if you're in that space of reflection and thinking and pondering and that sort of thing, to give you a couple of thought starters to really make that that thinking piece more useful, more supportive, and also in turn to give you some of the tools to really set you up for success in 2024. And 2024, I believe, is going to be a very important year in terms of actually setting up the next decade. And so I'd love your thoughts on that. I'm just going to check if I'm actually live because it's telling me I'm not, but I think I might be. Anyway, I'm going to keep going. So what I wanted to start with is just really to confirm with you some of the things that I think are important about leadership. So let me just pop my my screen up here. And so I'm hoping you can see that. Let me make it a little bigger. So for me, when I talk about leadership, there are three key elements. And when I talk about leadership, everybody's a leader because you're always a leader of self. You might be a thought leader, a program leader, and a leader of an organization, a team leader. There's so many ways to lead. And so when I think about leadership and I consider everyone, these are the three key dimensions for me that are part of that setting yourself up for success, laying really strong foundations. So the three key dimensions are, at the top, leadership of self. It comes first. No one will follow you if you're not doing something to be leading yourself, to be elevating your own practice of leadership, and growing and developing. The second core dimension is your tribe, the people around you, the people you influence, who influence you, who you interact with, who interact with you. And then the third key component is your world. So the ecosystem, I guess, in which you operate. And that will be made up of things in your organization, policy, process, infrastructure, culture, how we do things around here. That's the ecosystem at work. But of course, it extends beyond the boundaries of work and organization into community and industry and home. And so when we think about leadership, it's not just about leadership at work, but let's focus there as a starting point. What I want to focus on today is your leadership of self at the top. And why is that so important? Because I think the expectations of leadership have really changed significantly in recent years. And so it's important for us to reflect on our own leadership and how we are leading and who we are being when we're leading, and look at what might need some adjustment to cater for the changing complex of the circumstances around us, the way that the world is evolving, the way the expectations of leadership are evolving too. And so, in that context, what I want to do is just to remind you that leadership is not just a one-way conversation. We have to take input to give us information to work with. And that can be our own reflection. It can be input from others. It can be independent, objective input. And all of it is useful because it's information that we need to inform our leadership. And so, as I said earlier, this is a time of year when we've got this space between kind of Christmas and New Year, or the end of the holidays, whatever that is for you, where people start to, because they're not under the constant treadmill of work, that they start to ponder some of the bigger picture for themselves. And so if we want to make use of that time, let's actually direct that thinking a little bit so it really serves you and sets you up for success. The context, I think, we're all familiar with. There's lots of complexity. There's lots of change and evolution. There's technology revolution. There's economic downturn. There's political unrest. We have war. There's all sorts of things going on. Now, that will continue to go on in some forms, and it will ebb and flow over the coming years. But I think now that we're several years past the pandemic and COVID, this is our time to set up the foundations for the next decade or so. To set up how you lead, to set up how your organisation works with its people, to decide whether you are going to be at the mercy of your circumstances, or whether you're going to be proactive and actually create the future that supports you, your people, your community, and your organisational success and longevity. Because the world is in so much flux at the moment, if we stay the same, we become irrelevant very, very quickly. The latest, in fact, the 2023 Global PwC survey for CEOs highlighted that many CEOs globally, more than 40%, believe that they need to change in the way that their organisation operates in order to be commercially viable within the decade. So we really need to be not resting on our laurels, not just celebrating our past successes, but actually setting ourselves up for the future. Past success is great, but it's no guarantee of future success in a world of change. And so you have a responsibility to yourself to upgrade your leadership, to upgrade your leadership thinking, and in doing so, to sort of future-proof yourself, to remain relevant, to remain current, and to really be able to then support the people and the business around you. So let me just check for comments. I think it's going to be pretty quiet today because most people are on holidays, which I completely get. I think that's very important. So if you're watching this in your time after I've finished the live, then pop your comments and questions in, because I'll be very happy to respond to those if something kind of tweaks your interest. So in this reflection, the first thing we typically do is we look back. Now, that's a great thing to do because we can learn a lot from what's happened, what we've achieved, where we've put effort in, what we perhaps didn't achieve, and understanding why, what went well, what would have made it even better. What I want to suggest to you, though, is that often when people reflect, they reflect over a relatively short period, a period of perhaps 3 months, 6 months, 12 months. And while that's important, I don't think it's enough. I think we need to reflect over a longer period, 2 years, 3 years, 5 years, because over that longer period, we can see patterns that either serve us or don't. We can see progress and growth with more clarity. A shorter time frame gives us a smaller window of information. A longer time frame gives us more to work with. And I think that we can really see our own growth and development, our own change, our own progress. And we can learn about the patterns that work for us, or the things that we perhaps do habitually that do not serve us. And we can take that information and we can use it in terms of the choices and decisions that we make going forward. So my suggestion to you, when you do that reflection, when you think about the past year, actually extend it. Look further back and really notice what's happened. Notice yourself, notice the people around you, notice the good things, notice the things that didn't turn out quite as you would like, notice the opportunities that popped up when you didn't perhaps recognize them as an opportunity at the time. And so these are the things that I want you to think about. over a longer period of time. I think it gives you more great insight and information to work with. And if you want to make a few notes or you want to journal it, completely up to you to capture those key ideas and thoughts. So that's the first part of this, this thinking space. If you have the time, and I think you might at the moment, then really utilize that to generate more useful information and insight by looking back. So that's backwards, but that's already done. And so whenever we're doing our thinking, it's good to take the learning and the lessons and the wins from looking back. But in order to create the future, we need to look forward. It's about the decisions and the choices that we make from here on, the way we show up from here on, the way we behave, how we work with the people around us. That's what determines the future opportunities that we have. And so if we want to future-proof ourselves, it's from here on that we get the opportunity to do that. And so the first thing I would say is, again, it's important to not only focus on the short term. And when you're overwhelmingly busy and there's a lot of priorities, I completely understand that, it's easy to focus just on the short term, what's just in front of you. So today, this week, this month, the next 6 months. It's also very important, though, to look at the longer term, look at the horizon, because if we don't set ourselves up now, if we don't keep our opportunities open, if we don't grow the right kind of capability in ourselves and our people, then we miss out on the potential opportunities in the longer term. And so one of the key things that we need to do as senior leaders is keep the balance of focus between not just what is right in front of us, but over the longer term. Now, we don't know everything that's going to happen. There is a level of uncertainty that we haven't probably experienced before, yet you have in your power the ability to make decisions to keep the options open, to continue to support growth and development in your people and your technology and the way that you create an employee experience and how you offer, work opportunities and how you work with your customers and how you work with your providers. There's so many aspects that you have power over, and it requires you to have a short and a longer term perspective. So when you look forwards, keep that in mind. When you ponder, what does the future hold? How do you want to create the future? How are you and your people and your business going to stay relevant and current and meaningful and all of those things? Again, let's have some perspective that's not just about short-term perspective and putting out fires now or jumping into the opportunities now. Let's keep the focus balance between short and long term. And so they're really the two key thoughts that I wanted to share with you today to set yourself up. I believe, as I said, that 2024 is a really key year for building the foundation that will support you into 25, 26, 27. I think that following any kind of economic downturn, there is economic upturn. You need to be ready for it. When we have change and complexity, there is disruption and opportunity. We need to be ready for it. And if we don't have the foundations in place, it's very hard to grab onto those opportunities. So if you'd like to read a little bit more about these, I've put the links to my 2 recent articles, which have kind of asked these questions and made these suggestions. So you can grab those. And I really would love to hear how you go with your pondering and reflection in the space that you have at this time of year. And if there's anything I can do to help, then of course, pop a comment in. What else did I want to share with you today? To be honest, I think that's about it. I really just wanted to give you some thoughts that actually prompt your thinking to be more valuable and purposeful for you. Pop your comments in and really look forward to reading some of those. If I can help, then let me know. Otherwise, until next time, and it is one of my goals for 2024 is to get on and do a few more lives than I have in the last couple of years, and so I look forward to connecting in the new year. Bye for now.